people who can't make up their mind on Iran, and gentlemen. Blow some smoke into McStupid's face. Let's get started, folks. You'll have to forgive me. Some of these screenshots I'm going to be recycling and using in other videos, and even in this same video on another topic. The main event on this will be McStupid's ever-changing position on Iran. But in this screenshot, concentrate on what McStupid said. Our America cannot afford another Republican kook in our White House. They always destroy our country and increase our debt by leaps and bounds. Reagan, a U.S. trader who sold our U.S. taxpayer... Well, forget, that's for later. Increased our debt by leaps and bounds, and then he said, she says, Reagan raised our debt ceiling 18 times. So you're actually pretty close to this, McStupid. Depending on how you tabulate these debt ceiling increases, one of them under Reagan, all it did was, well, for example, let's say the debt can hit X by June 1st. And then Congress amends the previous piece of legislation, leaving the debt ceiling at the same spot, and moves that date up to July 1st. That shouldn't be counted as a raise in the debt ceiling. So you're almost right, McStupid. I went and looked at it. It's 17 times, actually. She got that from me in my Mr. Clado Refutation Station video, where I went over all that in detail. People who want more info can see that video, where I took Mr. Claydope behind the woodshed for an intellectual beating. So if you count it that way, there's another way. Kennedy and LBJ, those 8 years, had a Democrat Congress the entire time. And I could have got more than 12, but why I don't go above 12 is there was a couple times they raised the debt ceiling and then it would go back down. Back then, in the 80s, the Congress passed legislation. There used to be a temporary debt ceiling and a permanent debt ceiling, and they'd play games with that. So Congress just decided to abolish the temporary and all this crap and just have one concrete debt ceiling. That happened in the 80s. Before that, they had an actual debt, and then they'd raise the temporary debt ceiling. Well, Kennedy LBJ raised that more than 12 times, but then there were a couple times where it went back down later. So I didn't count all those. It depends on how you tabulate them. If they passed one piece of legislation but it allowed the debt ceiling to rise in increments, I counted each one of those. So if you count it that way, Kennedy, LBJ, and their Democrat Congresses raised it 12 times. Under Carter and his Democrat Congress, it got raised 4 times. McStupid also needs to mention, and she doesn't, I don't know if she thinks Congress exists or not. She doesn't know basic civics. I even made light of that in my response to Mr. Claydope, that McStupid doesn't know basic civics. Reagan had a Democrat Congress, or a Democrat House the entire time, so they would also have to pass that debt ceiling raise. Unless, McStupid, you believe the president's a monarch and can pull debt ceiling raises out of his rear end and just raise the debt ceiling by fiat. Obama's raised it 6 times, McStupid. You do realize that. Under him, him and his Congress have raised the debt ceiling 6 times, and the last several have been by huge margins, by $500 billion and $1.2 trillion. So there were massive increases there in the debt ceiling. Another thing, if you look at debt as a percentage of GDP, it was 53.1% under Reagan in his last fiscal year when he left office, fiscal year 1989, 53.1%. Obama has seen the debt increase by $1 trillion each of his full fiscal years, 2010, 2011, and 2012. The debt increased by over $1 trillion, and he's going to be the first president since FDR to see the debt over 100% of GDP for quite some time, unless the economy improves. And of course, that'll be their caveat. Oh yeah, the economy, it's bound to improve now. Well, of course, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act was supposed to do that. Didn't happen. Anybody wanting to learn about that, I've searched my videos with that tag, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. So McStupid leaves that out. She leaves out some information. If you look at the gross federal debt, well, it's well over $16 trillion now, McStupid. So really, you're be careful with that double-edged sword, little fella, because it can come back and bite you. So she was almost right on that 17 times. She left out the fact that Congress exists. She is not educated and does not understand basic civics. Moving on. Here's another stupid statement from McStupid. She's talking to somebody named Nitwit Mitt, and she talking like she's talking to Romney. She says, we suggest that you release your taxes going back at least 8 years, blah, blah, blah. You can also run for office in another country like France, where you hide taxable assets. Well, the problem is, McStupid, how many videos have you done on Charlie Rangel and Tim Geithner? Just to name two. There's more. We'll stick with that. Charlie Rangel and Tim Geithner both they did engage in some tax avoidance, which is, of course, why I think we should only tax consumption. Just get rid of taxes on capital gains, dividends, and income. Tax only consumption, then prostitutes and drug dealers who make their money under the table, and other people who make their money under the table will still be taxed. But why no videos on Secretary of the Treasury Tim Geithner, tax avoider? Well, he got caught, and he was very sorry after he got caught. What about Charlie Rangel? Every time I started to get someone, I started speaking Spanish. And he sits on the House Ways and Means Committee, which could change that, where it's really nobody's business. And I am defending Charlie Rangel here because it's really none of the U.S. government's business what income he makes in the Dominican Republic. But the U.S. has a stupid-ass policy of, worrying about what U.S. citizens working and living in other countries make over there. But why no autistic regurgitation of talking points against Charlie Rangel and Tim Geithner? Why that? Why not, McStupid, huh? What's the matter, little feller? Be careful. Again, double-edged sword, little feller. Be careful. One more piece of business before we get to the main event. McStupid, the non-doctor, was flapping her lips on one of her videos to some other clown, and she says, "There's a reason why studies confirm Fox comedy news viewers are less informed than those who watch no news at all." Well, McStupid, considering what I've cataloged on you over the last year, couple years actually, you probably shouldn't be saying that. Pot meat kettle, little fella. Well, that's why McStupid won't debate me. She's terrified. But anyways, Lee Doran is already in, it was about a 21-minute video, in detailed fashion already debunked those studies coming out saying Fox News viewers are less informed. Again, McStupid, all she does is cute, short sound bites while she's in her ivory tower. She won't debate anybody on this, but Lee Doran's already debunked that, so I need not go into that. Now to our main event. Now our main event, McStupid's ever-changing position on Iran. I have numerous screenshots, and I'll be clicking through them here. I have them all on my desktop. Numerous where she contradicts herself. She makes an idiot of herself, and just pay attention to the screenshots. She gets angry at John McCain saying, "Pull the trigger on Iran." She's angry about McCain's saber rattling with Iran. Go watch that video if you want to see that. She was very adamant that we shouldn't be doing this. Don't be doing that. Don't be talking to Iran like that. She makes it clear in this next screenshot that words mean something. She's criticizing Herman Cain, his lack of understanding about foreign policy, and that probably was actually true, and how it works in relation to rhetoric and threats of violence. Cain is an idiot and a kook, and Palin a moron and kook. Not much difference. Both have no idea how their nonsensical words could instigate a disaster. So, words mean something, folks. And the next one she talks about, so keep in mind, rhetoric means something, because Cain was, I'll have another screenshot later, she criticized Herman Cain for wanting to put warships in the Persian Gulf, and if they attack us, so be it. She took issue with that. After Bush illegally attacked, invaded, and occupied Iraq, murdering over 1.3 million human innocents, Iran viewed him as a threat and ratcheted up their rhetoric to defend themselves. So, makes it pretty clear, Iran is not our enemy. They're not to be trifled with, folks. Come on. On another video, it's another screenshot of Pull the Trigger on Iran video, April 15, 2010. She makes it clear Iran is not our enemy. On this next one, She says Herman Cain, seems bent on engaging in violent opposition to any country that doesn't share his bizarre religious beliefs. So again, she's attacking Herman Cain for taking a standoffish stance with Iran. And this other one, Reagan, the U.S. trader who sold our U.S. taxpayer-owned weapons to Iran. Doesn't call Iran our enemy. Keep that in mind, folks. President Barack Obama laughs at Sarah Palin, April 2010, McStupid. I'll have screenshots up too. She claimed to, McStupid claimed to run the McCain is Through channel as well. McCain is Through and mccainisthroughx apparently are the same woman running both those channels, so I'll have those screenshots up as well, where she admitted that. But President Barack Obama laughs at Sarah Palin. McStupid portrays Iran in a favorable light there. So now we get to the screenshots where she starts calling Iran our enemy. But first I need to point out some of her hypocrisy. She was against the war in Iraq. Reagan, he was an imperialist, and it's kind of odd that later she calls Iran our enemy. Reagan's giving taxpayer-funded or weapons funded by U.S. taxpayers to Iran's rebels. McStupid makes an error here, and I called her out on that in my video on Obama's invasion in Libya. Actually, I did it in the comments. I left a comment on my own video there right after I uploaded it. The War Powers Act doesn't trump the Constitution, McStupid. So unless in this day and age, Congress can reconvene rather quickly, but let's say back in 1810, theoretically, if enemy warships appeared off the eastern seaboard, Congress was, let's say, on Christmas, home for Christmas, the president could authorize a military attack against those warships without congressional approval. And in this day and age, let's say Venezuelan warships appeared off the eastern seaboard, and let's say all Congress was at home. Within 24 hours, they could all probably be there, but Hussein could repel that attack without Congress's approval. But to go bomb another country, a foreign country, whether you're doing it from in the air, and as long as our troops are not put in direct danger, where in the hell are you getting that from, moron? That's not in the Constitution, not even in the War Powers Act. Where the hell are you pulling this out of your rear end? This person's an idiot here. But again, the War Powers Act was just a way of Congress to outsource their authority to the executive. So yes, Reagan would have needed congressional approval to attack Libya, and he didn't get it. Now, McStupid thinks that's her trump card. She thinks pulling that on Reagan will... Okay, what she's essentially saying is, yes, Obama did the wrong thing and it was unconstitutional, but so did Reagan. So you're admitting that Obama should be impeached for attacking another nation without congressional approval. And if you say, well, should we posthumously impeach Reagan? Sure. Congress has to give the executive approval to attack a foreign nation. So you'll actually lose that one, but you can come over and debate that with me, McStupid, if you'd like. Here she criticizes Reagan for selling U.S. taxpayer-owned weapons to our enemy, Iran. Iran is our enemy now, okay? What happened there, McStupid? Iran is now our enemy. She also... And this, the one again, idiot and U.S. trader Reagan not only sold U.S. taxpayer-owned weapons to our enemy, Iran. Kind of odd there, McStupid. In that first screenshot I gave you, put that up again. Again, she criticizes Reagan, calling him a U.S. trader who sold our U.S. taxpayer-owned weapons to our enemy, Iran. So, considering, Iran wasn't our enemy, she has to defend Iran from these evil Republicans wanting to attack it. But words mean something according to her. So calling Iran our enemy, isn't that saber-rattling? So kind of odd there, McStupid. You've done a fine job of painting yourself into a corner. So I'm curious, McStupid, was Iran our enemy under Carter or not? But they were our enemy under Reagan, because Reagan sent aid to rebels over in Iran trying to overthrow their country. And apparently you criticize Mitt Romney for doing business with Chinese companies that have links to Iran. Is Iran our enemy now under Obama? I'm curious. How are you playing this, McStupid? You've taken several positions. I have proof of that. I'm not sure you even know what you're doing because you run on emotion. You're not too bright, and all your arguments are based on emotion. But what do you think about, since you say words mean something, little feller, what about Leon Panetta, our Secretary of Defense, making it clear that all options are on the table concerning Iran? What do you think about that, McStupid? Including military engagement with Iran to stop their nuclear program. What about the clown Mandarin-Chief, Hussein Obama, making it clear that all options are on the table concerning Iran? Because you were all over Bush while he was president for doing that, and so were several Democrats. Not that you're of any consequence, like Tom Harkin, for example. Criticized Bush for saber-rattling. McCain, you've been all over John McCain for threatening and saber-rattling Iran. But Hussein has said all options are on the table, too. Is that saber-rattling? Huh, little feller? So we got the Secretary of Defense and the clown Mandarin-Chief saying all options are on the table for Iran. And speaking of giving aid to rebels, which you are rightly upset about, if you're arguing for a change in U.S. foreign policy to something, say, closer to what Ron Paul and Gary Johnson would do, I'm with you on that, McStupid. But I find it funny that you tried to defend Obama's attack on Libya. quite funny. So if we gave aid to the rebels in Syria, did you know that? Is that impeachment there? Giving aid to rebels, just like Reagan gave aid to rebels in Iran. Obama secretly gave aid to rebels in Libya. Or Syria, excuse me. It's not secret anymore. What about Jay Carney, spokesclown for the White House, calling for regime change in Syria? What do you think about that, McStupid? You think that's a good idea? So I think I've called you out pretty good on your stupidity here, little fella. I've got hours and hours of refutations of you, and it's not done yet. So anytime you want to come over and debate this with me, you're welcome. And you have been owned, McStupid. It was a pleasure. Oh, and have a nice day, little fella.